So I was reading this morning about a 9-month-long cyber investigation in Germany that has uncovered a pedophile ring of about 30,000 suspects. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the the abuse of children has been in the news in one form or another, basically ever since Jeffrey Epstein, that stuff came out. And now, when the stuff with Epstein first came out, there was a lot of attempts to characterize him as having trafficked in young women, but if you're a minor, you're a child. So we call that pedophilia. I know there's gosh, they've tried to create whole other names for that kind of stuff because it's not really a child, but garbage. That's what that is. Linguistic gymnastics to justify reprehensible behavior. Anyway, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Overwhelming. Like you start to think, how do you even begin to deal with an issue that is so massive? 30,000 suspects. Like, we're not talking about the ring of 30 or 45 that England uncovered a couple of years back, which I imagine was actually bigger, but that's who they caught. We're not talking about we're talking about 30,000. And what were they talking about? What is the stuff that Germany discovered online? Conversations about how to drug and rape children, and conversations about, the exchange of videos and such. 44 victims have been identified so far, the youngest of which is a 3-month-old baby. Like, that's, I don't even, yeah, yeah. Here's the thing. We look around our society and we see the foundations seem to be crumbling. We see this insanity all around us. And a lot of it goes back to this basic human tendency, this evil, wicked tendency to dehumanize other people. The Bible calls it sin, and that word is kind of fallen out of popularity now. And in popular culture, we think it's old hat, the stuff of fundamentalists. But I believe it was C.S. Lewis who said that the doctrine of sin is the one doctrine for which we have absolute empirical evidence. Because even given the best of circumstances, people still find ways to hurt one another. And I know the argument. I have Penn Jillette. He said, I've done all of the horrible things that I want to do, exactly zero. And yes, there are. It is not that every single person in the world is as bad as they could possibly be. But every single one of us struggles to be good. Some of us don't struggle anymore. There are some people who just embrace the evil, and they're just wicked. There is no other word to describe this behavior. The collapse of the structural cultural mores and standards which kept this kind of behavior in the dark and in the shadows has now allowed it to come forth into the light, to be seen. And these people, they are no longer hiding these disgusting, dehumanizing behaviors. Now they're reveling in them and they're celebrating them. And there are places where this kind of behavior is being challenged for why it should be considered criminal, for why it should be considered abnormal. Christians need to wake up to that. The world doesn't change because we wish it would. Things don't get better because we elect a particular politician to a particular office. We didn't get here because they took prayer out of schools. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's probably a factor in the overall tapestry, but that's not the reason. We are here because Christianity became cultural instead of actual. Because too many people knew the words, but they didn't live the reality. Because we didn't love God with our whole heart, because we didn't love our neighbor as ourself, because we were unconcerned with speaking the truth and teaching our children what was right. And we just assumed that they would be okay, or that someone else would take care of it, that we could entrust the responsibility for our children to their school teachers and their Sunday school teachers and to the preachers, and we abdicated the role as their parents to raise them up in the way that they should go. And now we have an entire society that is suffering because our sin in not raising them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord has become their sin. Of rebellion. We are not all to blame for every act of wickedness. But as a community of faith, we're going to have to come to grips with the part we played in letting things get to here. What is it the scripture says, Micah 6:8? God has told you what he wants from you. Pursue justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. He has given each of us a voice to cry out for those who cannot cry for themselves. He has given each of us hands and feet to extend care to those who are defenseless, who cannot care for themselves. We need to determine that there are some things in life that are more important than our own sense of comfort. And we need to be invested in every way, shape, form possible in seeing these things change. Because 30,000, let's be honest, it's just the tip of the iceberg. You know? And even that, investigations that unearth names, that send people to jail, that is not going to stop this wickedness. Raising our sons and our daughters to value human life, to love their neighbor as themselves, to see people as having dignity and honoring that dignity in every capacity. That is what changes this. One person at a time. All right. Till next time. Shalom.